You're listening to LP Rock. Tonight we're going to go ahead and have an interview with Terry Quinn and the Weasels. Let's go ahead and kick it off correct with a song called Down in the Hole on LP Rock. And that song was Down in a Hole by Terry Quinn and the Weasels. Right now with us, we have our special guest, Terry Quinn. He's in the house. Hey, Terry, what's up?
Hey, Scott. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, I'm glad you're with us, man. So Down in a Hole, man, what a cool song that is, man. What inspired you to do that song there?
Gee, I don't know. It just kind of came. They all just, I do write songs sometimes, but if I just kind of let them come to me, they seem to be better, less contrived or something. And that is, like I'm going to say about all of them tonight, that one particularly was just an observation of certain things, and wordplay and stuff. But obviously, it's a hard luck song,
Yeah, it is. Well, Down in the Hole says it all. Hey, when did you first realize that music was your calling?
Music is such a weird thing. I started playing when I was 10, and I knew at 3, I didn't know what was going on, but I heard my parents, my family was very musical. My Uncle Dan used to bring over recording equipment when he would come when I was very young, and music that he liked, and guitars. But I didn't understand anything other than I was attracted to those things, From day one, I remember just like, before I was big enough to play the things, I would, like if you sat in a big chair, and you have the things to put your hands on, I'm little, that guitar would come, and I remember it would just lay there, and I would be like very interested in playing that guitar.
Right.
I always thought that was kind of interesting that I was into it so young. And then when I was 10, I just begged my father to, and I guess I'd begged him a lot before that, but he got me a steel guitar. So I just knew it was a guitar, and so I didn't know that it was, not really something. I probably wasn't going to go into steel guitar playing
yes. Yeah.
As a profession. But like I said, I started at 10. I My whole family was pretty musical. All my cousins, me and my cousins started a band at 12. We're playing. I'm still not thinking anything other than I'm a kid, and I used to think sometimes, well, this is my part-time job. I hear people get. So we would play, and we
Hmm.
played. Just kind of a That's what we do. We didn't even think about it too much. We didn't go, hey, let's get.
You kind of have a soulful tone to your music. It's edgy. It's got a soulful tone to it. I mean, so you moved to L.A. from Mississippi. Now you're talking about the steel guitar a moment ago,
Yeah.
and of course we know that's a music. That's a musical instrument of the South. Now
Yes.
you moved to L.A. from Mississippi. I mean, this is quite a change for you. I mean, what sparked you to go to L.A. as many did back in the day, man?
Well, when I was 17, my parents said, it's growing up, you got to figure out what you're going to do with your life, and you better like what you like because you're going to do it forever. And I thought, rock star. And that didn't work out as well as I had hoped, but I immediately moved to LA thinking it's either LA or New York, but I don't have a coat big enough for New York. So I moved to LA, and yes, it's a culture shock. The first night I got here, it's a big city. I come from a very small town, and it's a big city. And I remember getting into town, scared that my guitars were going to be stolen. This place, I've heard so much about it, and got me a motel room, and it turned on the TV, and it said "Woman's Head Found in Dumpster," and I'm like, "Oh my God, the big city."
Welcome to L.A., my brother.
I was lost. It was the freeways. If you got off on the wrong thing, you went for miles. It was pretty tough. I was coming from a background of pay me. I'm playing tonight, pay me, and looking for that kind of a thing. And when I first got to town, I got in a band called the Ernie Todd Review, simply because I was trying to look for bands that paid, and so I didn't know what I was getting into, but I was getting into an R&B group that was fronted by everyone in the band was black, and they wanted me in the band because they could get more money with a mixed group. They told me I'm young, I don't know, but mixed group, and I'm not really much of a. I mean, right now I do a lot of R&B, but it was kind of like a badge of honor. I immediately got paid doing it and had fun playing with these black guys, just a blast. Then I met Tom Petty's friend and drummer, and he goes, "I'm gonna tell you a secret, but you can't tell anybody." And I go, "Okay." He goes, "Listen, you don't want to be doing this cover stuff. What you want to do is originals. They just give you
Yes.
money. Those record companies." He goes, "When I was with Tom, they just give me money. Go there and get it." Now I found out later that wasn't completely true, but yeah, it was an adult dose coming to L.A.
Yes, it was. So right now we're going to cue up the song "Rock and Roll Guitar Player." Let's talk about this song for a second here. I mean, it's really, really cool. The videos are all over YouTube, and I want to really touch on this "Rock and Roll Guitar Player." Let's talk about this.
Well, that's a song that we just we jam in the studio and stuff, and we're jamming out a rock and roll song, and then that one just kind of turned into the truth, which is that's kind of like the way it is. Every line in that song has is something I've done. Drive all night, sleep in my car, trying to get to the next gig. All fun
Right.
things, not bad things at all, but that's just all about the truth.
Well, let's get into the song he's talking about. It's "Rock and Roll Guitar Player" right now on LP Rock.
And I hang out with
And that was Rock and Roll Guitar Player. You're listening to the LP Rock Radio Show. Right now, we're with Terry Quinn of Terry Quinn and the Weasels. Hey, Terry, let's turn back the hands of time for a moment. I remember living in L.A., as you touched on earlier, and I heard you on KLOS radio, man. Okay, now you were playing for Rebel Faction back in the day. What was it like being an L.A. band in the 80s? I mean, the vibe, everything was going on. How did you get with Rebel Faction? What was it like?
Well, you're right. It was the center of the universe for rock and hairspray bands, right? So it was a blast. Rebel Faction was guys that I had played with as a teenager. These were guys that had came out after I came out, and like I said, I kind of got a taste of what's going on here. Where at least we put a band together, which is always better to play with your friends. You know, it's always easier. And we had a lot of good luck. The KLOS thing, movies. It was a good time to be in LA. You know.
So when you were with Rebel Faction, the song "Burnin'" opened up some doors for you. You were talking about movies. Let's touch on movies for a moment.
It did. I don't know if that's our best song, but it's certainly our most successful song. We were lucky enough to get it in a movie, which led to us being in movies, which led to other songs getting in movies. And that tune was in a lot of movies. They would always pick that one for some reason. But yes, when that one certainly opened doors for us, we still benefit from that today. At the time,
I bet, because that was a cult movie for any skateboarder remembers the movie Thrashing.
Thrashing, yes. Another lucky break. I guess that was our first song, I guess. And, you know, back then, you know, I guess right now that'd be good, but that was a cool thing. You know, we're kids from Mississippi, and we're going to the premiere of it. And there's this guy named Josh Brolin, who we know his daddy used to do something in the movies, and he's the star of it. And then it turns out that, yeah, every skateboarder watches that movie and burns their ramp to our song. And so it's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I still remember it. And if you guys have ever watched the movie Thrashing, right now you're going to go ahead and hear that song that was from the movie Thrashing called "Burnin' Right Now" by Rebel Faction with Terry Quinn, right here in LP Rock. Listen up.
Can't see what's in my eyes. Bleeding
And that was Burning by Rebel Faction with Terry Quinn of Terry Quinn and the Weasels we have in the studio with us right now. Hey, Terry, who are some of the bands you shared the stage with? You talked earlier about Tom Petty, and you touched on that a bit. Who are some of the bands you shared the stage with over the years?
Well, the 80s ended in the 90s, I would say,
Yes.
when Nirvana blew it out of the water and everybody packed up in their tents and moved up to Seattle. We played with you name it, and we played with them because in the '80s we played almost every night. We played at all those gigs, and those bands were on the Strip. The Sunset Strip was really big then, and
Yes,
and it
yes.
still is. We did the Key Club other night, and I got my car boxed in to where I had to sit there all night long after I played. Uh, and then it became 2 o'clock in the morning, and then the street was packed. I was amazed of just crazy people. But back then, it was more of a, I don't know, for me, since I was really in that scene, crazier. You name it, we played with. You remember Madame Wong's, that kind of a thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we pretty much all those guys, were really nice, and everybody hung out and interchanged in bands sometimes. Very good time, very fun.
I mean, you have not slowed down at all. In fact, you're still performing at venues, man. You got a video catalog that makes people just jealous, man. You got a fan base that I find fascinating. As an artist, do you find that music just comes naturally to you?
Well, I used to say to people, and I don't know nothing, I just talk, and that's what I'm doing, is talking. Not that it's always, I look back and I'm not sure if it's true, but I used to tell people, look, if I can play guitar, anybody can. I mean, this is hard stuff, man. I put a lot of work into it, but and I guess it is, but it doesn't come very hard these days. It's turned into almost a, since I've been doing it since I was 10, see, which I don't know, does that mean I'm thinking sometimes, well, I'm stunted emotionally because I'm still 10, but and I'm still doing the same thing. I rehearse, I gig, and but yeah, I might not do it on the scale that we did it in the '80s. That was a different time and different for the internet and stuff. But it comes real easy to me. I got to admit, it's not real hard to get the songs, and that's kind of the main thing with this.
So, Terry, I've read many positive reviews from the LA Times on down the line, but while I have you here, what can one expect when they come to one of your live shows? I mean, I'm going to hit a Terry Quinn and the Weasels show. What can I expect?
Well, for instance, we're always changing, but what you will get for sure, and we have kind of a fan base that wants to hear the stuff we've cut within the last 5 or so years. So we do that, and then sometimes depending on how long this show is, we did some uh, Laughlin, Nevada shows this weekend, and we would do 3 hours, and so we'll put a little R&B set in there. We'll do a little Muddy Waters maybe, that kind of thing. And we've been doing that lately just because we find it fun and interesting. Our thing, if you come see us, it's loud, it's guitar rock, and um, it's a fast and high energy kind of a thing.
For those of you just tuning in, we're in special conversation with Terry Quinn of Terry Quinn and the Weasels, formerly of Rebel Faction. Hey, Terry, we're going to close with a song called I Must Have Been Dreaming. Let's go ahead and talk about this song for a moment.
Well, this is one of our new songs. Like I said, what we do is we go back to the old, I guess back to the old thing, but we do albums every so often, but we do singles almost every few months. And this isn't our latest single, but it was one before this, once again it just kind of came out, and we got a lot of good positive feedback on it. But it rocks, and then it also kind of, you know, I'm not really a good judge, but a lot of people tell me that it kind of they can identify with it, and that's really what you want is if they can identify with the music. But it's a song that started this way. Maybe you want to say poppy love song, which is something we really don't do a lot of. But then it turned into a rock song accidentally somehow.
So we're going to go ahead and cue up this song. Terry, thank you so much for rocking out with us tonight, man.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it anytime. I really appreciate it.
And that was the one and only Terry Quinn with us. We have him in captivity, that's right. We're going to go ahead and close right now with a song called Must Have Been Dreamin'. Listen up on LP Rock.
Stand in the shadow. Yeah, you're holding me tight. But something reminds me, oh, I must have been dreaming. I'm alone again. Yeah, I must have been dreaming, yeah, 'cause I'm all alone. It's a time is a circle. Sometimes it seems like it never ends. Come and lay down beside me. Feel your skin on my skin. But something reminds me, oh, I must have been dreaming. I'm alone again. Yeah, must have been dreaming, 'cause I'm all alone. Yeah, must have been dreaming. Then I wake up screaming. Yeah, must have been dreaming, 'cause I'm all alone. I'm all alone. Yeah. Well, I must have been dreaming. I'm alone again. Yeah, I must have been dreaming, yeah, 'cause I'm all alone. Well, I must have been dreaming. Yeah, I wake up screaming. Yeah, I must have been dreaming, yeah, yeah, standing in the shadows. I wake up screaming.
And that was an interview with the one and only Terry Quinn. Hey, we got more music to come. Stay tuned right here on LP Rock.